Hi, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Lauren. I'm a 32-year-old artist from Hong Kong, and I'm living in New York currently. And today I just wanted to do like a cozy little yap sesh with you guys. I normally do a little baking on the side, but today I'm feeling a little bit raw and a little bit sensitive. So I've been making content for about 6 months now, 7 months consistently. And it has completely changed everything in my life. Like all my creativity goes into making videos. And anytime I feel any sort of anxiety about being alone or being frustrated or being left behind, I channel all of that energy into making videos. And it has been the most liberating and healing journey for myself. And I just wanted to come on here and share a little bit about how I got to this point of self love and how to get to a point of trusting yourself and believing in yourself when you feel like you're left behind and you just feel like you're alone. I've gone through so many bouts of depression and anxiety throughout my life that I never thought I would get to this point where I am now. I feel like I trust myself so much more than I ever did before. And it's not to say that I wasn't happy. I've had so many happy moments in my life, but to getting to this point where I know what my worth is, and I don't want to ever let go of that. It has been a very long journey, and I was thinking about it this morning that I've done so much work to get to this point that I feel like I have to share that with people and let you know that if you are going through something like that and you're feeling depressed or alone or lonely or feeling left behind, that you are truly so not alone in that journey. Just me making content about it for the last 6 months, so many people write to me now about going through their own moments of doubts that it is so human to go through that. Today, I woke up feeling very grateful, but also a little bit sensitive. And I've cried 3 different times this morning, not even for any other reason, but just sometimes emotions just come up. And in the past, I would try to find a solution for it, but I'm really learning to just let your body ride through those emotions. And the funny thing is, now that I'm in this mode of creating content all the time and pointing my creativity into creating videos, I have been able to channel a lot of that pain into here. And so I guess today I just wanted to talk a bit more about that and just have it be more of a cozy kind of casty version of my vlogs. I have been experimenting a lot with all those different types of content, and I feel like sometimes even in the content that I watch myself, I like to feel like there's somebody in the room with me and there's somebody just in the background and hanging out with me and telling me a story. So if you're into that kind of content, please feel free to grab a cup of tea, grab a matcha, grab a coffee, get into your PJs and just let's just hang. So I was talking about it with a friend of mine recently about the idea of self-love, right? I don't know if this is true for everybody, but I think a lot of us who struggle with self-doubt and low self-esteem, that we grew up thinking that we had to perform in some way and that love had to genuinely be earned. And I definitely grew up thinking that most people didn't like me, that I just didn't offer anything. And that's, I think, where a lot of my depression stemmed from, that I was just a burden to people. And no matter how much people tried to show me that they loved me, there was just a core part of me that was hurt and so broken. I don't want to say broken because that feels like a very difficult word to use. But there was a part of me that just didn't believe that people could love me and that I was inherently wrong. There was something wrong with me. To go from a place where I felt like I was just a burden to everybody and my family and my friends to a point now, I woke up this morning feeling genuine gratitude for life and for the whole entire journey I've gone through, and to that real true belief that I am worthy of love is not a journey that I take lightly. Even though when I was younger, if you are on the outside looking into my life is absolutely blessed. I couldn't see that. I felt guilty that I didn't have any big T traumas in my life, and how dare I be depressed. I had nothing to be sad about. And so when I would go to therapy when I was younger, a lot of it was out of guilt and a lot of it was just trying to soothe everyone else's anxiety about my anxiety. But I never went for me. And I think that's what wasn't working in that moment. When I was younger, I distinctly remember just even in kindergarten believing that I just didn't deserve to be loved. And I'm not trying to start a pity party or anything like that. It just, I think sometimes we don't know when these things start, and they don't have to have like big T trauma for someone to feel like that. Sometimes it's a buildup of a lot of little instances and personalities and words that are used. And it is so nuanced and distinct for every single person that it is so difficult to understand the human psyche and why things happen the way they do. When I was younger, I just remembered a lot that I felt like there was something wrong with me, that kids didn't like me for a reason. And I was just the most odd kid. And I just didn't understand why. Instead of putting that confusion outward and asking why, I internalized everything. So what somebody said about me became true. Absolutely everything. Even if someone didn't mean something, it became true for me. And then from then on, everything that was negative or deemed negative from my perspective was just something that I held on to. Sometimes I look back at my childhood and it's no wonder why I felt such low self-esteem. And it's not because of anyone else. It was just because I was holding on to absolutely everything that people put onto me and projected onto me and made it about me. And so that kind of buildup of years of negative self-talk doesn't go away in the blink of an eye. There were a lot of moments when I was told as a child that I need to think positively, see the world as glass half full. Why aren't you positive? Why aren't you happy? And those kind of words don't help necessarily, especially if you don't understand the core of why that happened. And I don't blame anybody in my past who tried to help me in that way, because I don't think a lot of us are equipped with the words and techniques and the gentleness and the compassion it takes to help people through those moments. I certainly don't think I am fully equipped in those ways, and I've gone through those difficult emotions. There's so much that we go through as kids that we hold on to. I talked about this a little bit before, but in the same way that music has a hold on us and that we can listen to a song or watch an old movie and it brings up these rush of emotions and nostalgia and things that we don't even realize we're holding on to, right? The human mind is so much stronger than we think it is. Our bodies are so much smarter than we think it is. We just think our bodies are the vessel that we're walking around in and that this is just the body I have and that's just it. But there's so much more to it than that. If you think about it, even when you're sick and you're sitting, you're just laying down, you're resting, your body is breathing for you. Your brain is thinking for you. Your mind is drawing up every single memory that you've had in order to know how to function in that current moment. So the way that we talk to ourselves every single day is so important. What we say to ourselves becomes our truth entirely. And when people used to say that to me, I didn't understand it. But in the last, I want to say year or so, I've made a very conscious effort to speak kindly to myself. And it didn't happen overnight, of course. And some days I wake up and I try to talk kindly to myself and I feel like it's delusion. I've told my therapist this so many times that when I talk to myself and tell myself that I love myself, it feels like delusion. It feels like I'm lying to myself because what do you mean? I don't love myself. So why would saying it make a difference? But saying it makes all the difference because what you say out loud into words becomes your truth. And I just want to say the whole reason why I wanted to make this yappy podcasting episode today is because I woke up feeling the most grateful and the most self-love I've ever felt. And then all of a sudden I just started crying and just feeling almost grief for my past, but just emotional. And when I was younger, I was taught that emotions and crying were things that you had to avoid. Anytime I was sad, my parents would be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What did we do? And it's not about that. We don't allow our emotions to just exist as they are without having to analyze them. And sometimes our bodies are just trying to process very different things within us that perhaps we're not even conscious of. And not everything requires immediate solutions. I can feel why I am feeling sensitive today, but that can just be. Like I can be sensitive today, right now in this moment, and not make it about my identity. I don't have to be happy all the time. I don't have to be joyful all the time. I don't have to be sad all the time. Your emotions are not your identity. And I don't know why it took me so long to get here, But I used to think that being depressed was just who I was. There was no other solution to it. There was no other way I could exist. And when I finally grasped the fact that your emotions are simply a way of your body trying to process something and trying to help you, it is not there to attack you and to make you feel worse about yourself. That's when I felt like I could finally be released from them and not be so attached to all of them as who I am. Something that helped me a lot throughout this whole process of trying to find healing was really going back into my childhood and talking to myself as an adult now. We hear all this all the time on social media, and I think the way that social media has kind of commercialized therapy talk is just not helping a lot of the times. There's a lot about the wellness industry that I don't quite understand still. And I'm also not saying this from a place of preaching to you. This is just what I've learned for myself. So one trick I did was I put a photo of myself as my younger self at the age where I remembered when I started not liking myself. And I put it on my mirror. I looked at it every single day. And I felt so bad for that girl, that 6-year-old girl who was just so hurt, but didn't understand why. And I had to learn how to talk to that version of myself again, slowly and just very kindly. And instead of saying, you know, you are loved, so you should feel loved, it was more, I know it hurts and I know it feels like you're alone, but you aren't because I'm here and you did nothing wrong. Like, I don't think you guys understand the power of being able to reparent your own inner child. It is so difficult to do because on some level, your inner child will not believe it. And because you're saying it from who you are as an adult version of that inner child, it is very complicated to be able to talk to the younger version of you and truly believe it as an adult. But once I was able to separate those two versions of me, talking to myself and telling myself that I did nothing wrong inherently as a child to deserve feeling so broken and feeling so unloved, over time, I started to believe it. It took a long time and continuous repetitions of it, even on days when I didn't believe it. Some days I won't believe it still, right? Like, it's not going to be an overnight fix for this. It's not. What I told my friend the other day was, if it took you 30 years to get to this point of where you are right now, of feeling so down on yourself and feeling like you just don't trust yourself and you don't love yourself, if it took you 30 years of negative self-talk to get to here, why wouldn't it take equally long to go back to where you were before? It won't, only because now you're an adult and you have more authority over talking to yourself. You always did as a kid, but that kind of self-trust and self-belief takes a lot of years of unwiring everything you've learned when you were younger and everything you've absorbed when you were younger. Am I entirely there to where I just believe that I deserve love? A lot of days, yes, I really do. And that statement in itself is astounding to me. But there are, of course, going to be days when I feel less than. I don't feel as joyful, or I don't feel like what I'm doing is good enough. I don't know if there's a solution to that. If there are people in the world who genuinely wake up every single day just joyful, I don't know, because we're constantly reacting and responding to the world around us. I don't have an answer to that. But what I do know is that self-love is not just about loving yourself and treating yourself nice and like getting yourself nice clothes and bubble baths. All those things are a result of trusting yourself. What I think they should do is called self-love, self-trust. Because once you trust yourself, in that same way, you will inevitably love yourself. Because self-belief and self-trust are the first step to actually getting to a point where you start doing the actions to get to the point of where you love yourself. I was just watching Alex Cooper's Call Her Alex docuseries, and that might be why I'm feeling a little bit more emotional. When I was watching it, for some reason, I just started bawling halfway. I don't think she meant it to be that way, but part of what she talked about in her story was just this belief in herself that she just had, that she could do whatever she is doing now. And when I was watching it, I almost felt a little bit sad for myself that I didn't grow up with that self-belief. I don't know her story, I don't know her, but I think part of the whole healing journey sometimes is also recognizing that there is going to be a little bit of grief for your own past. I don't regret the things that got me here. I think sometimes I have made mistakes, absolutely. And will I continue to make mistakes? 100%. But what got me to where I am now, to trust myself and believe myself, I don't think I would have gone there had I not gone through all of that dark stuff. If I hadn't gone through all those years of self-hatred and self-loathing and just berating myself constantly, I wouldn't have understood the amount of work it takes to get to this point. I didn't have the best social life growing up. On the outside, it might have seemed like I had a lot of friends, but I was definitely bullied a lot when I was in elementary school. And I don't think I actually knew what to do with that information besides the fact that maybe just sometimes kids are mean. And that can be true. But it also doesn't mean that what they said about me was true. And it's interesting to think how all the things that I used to think made me so weird and so quirky are the things that I currently put into all my videos that make other people feel seen. It's wild how a human personality can work like that, right? Sometimes certain qualities about yourself that you hate are exact qualities that you love about yourself. I remember in therapy one time, the therapist asked me what I loved about myself, and I loved the fact that I am a very creative person. But then on the other hand, I also hated the fact that I was a creative person because it made me so different. So the things that made me were also the things that made me isolated and different, and I thought pushed me away from other people. And it wasn't until I started fully embracing those parts of myself as my strongest qualities and not be afraid to show them to the world like I am now, that I see that as making me so much more special. This whole journey that I've been on with making content has been incredibly healing in some ways, and also just cracked some things open that have definitely been very surprising. When we talk about healing journeys, sometimes a lot of us try to do more work constantly, that we're trying to listen to the next podcast and read the next book. As someone who was taught to go to school and study hard to get to the grades that you want, I applied that same reasoning into my self-worth and my healing journey. And sometimes I just have to say, maybe all that work that we're doing to study it isn't the work that we're supposed to be doing. The work you're supposed to be doing is so minuscule, but so large at the same time. The things that I had to do were just taking one step at a time, truly the tiniest step to get to the next step. And it wasn't this massive, big, oh, I read a book and then everything clicked. Yes, I think all the books that I've read have helped to have a better understanding of different perspectives, but I don't think there was one singular book that changed my life. It was a combination of every single thing that I've been doing, every single thing that I've been reading, all the therapy I've been going to, and all the podcasts I've listened to, then apply the things that I wanted to apply specifically to me. And that takes a lot of filtering and a lot of trial and error. And it also changes over time. What is working for me now may not work for me when I'm 40, 50, 60. And it is just a reminder that inner work changes over time. There is no official destination that we have to get to with that, because your life will change. Things will evolve around you that will inevitably bring up and trigger different memories of your past that you will need to then go internalize again and then work on understanding for yourself. Not necessarily work on fixing it, but just understanding where those are from so that you know how to respond in a way that will bring you the most joy and bring you the most peace. And I used to think that I had to be happy all the time, and that a life well lived was a life that was happy. Now, I genuinely think that a life well lived is a life that is peaceful, a life that will push you to communicate, to learn to adapt to different things around you, a life where you will learn how to be flexible and patient and honest and authentic and trust your gut and who you are and what you want and what your needs are in balance with everybody else's around you. So even though I am a bit emotional today and I am feeling extra sensitive today, it feels like a triumph, because instead of letting myself sit in this moment of loneliness and blaming myself and feeling, oh, woe is me, nothing's going to work out for me, I know that's not true. And it took so long to get to this point, to say that I don't think the world is out to get me. I don't think that I attract bad things, that nothing good is ever going to happen to me. I used to believe that so strongly. And with the work that I've been doing with my therapist currently, and also making content and speaking out about these things and being able to use my voice in a way that's productive and helpful and healthy, has been the most transformative journey that I've been on. All of this has happened in 6 months, and I've never really been someone to stay this consistent at something. And the fact that I've kept up all these things sometimes still shocks me, but it also just goes to show how much things can change in a very short amount of time, as long as you keep showing up every single day and build on every part of it one step at a time. And it's not going to be some grand, oh my gosh, moment of, oh, I've made it. My sister was asking me the other day what I see for myself and what the goal of content is. And I couldn't explain to her that this creation process for me isn't to get to a final number, isn't to get to however many brand deals and all these things that people want. I think all of that stuff will be validating in its own way, and I recognize it, and I will receive them wholeheartedly when those things come. But the way that some people have responded to my content and been able to send me messages and tell me that, oh, they feel seen, and they feel like the way that I'm internalizing and externalizing my experiences in these creative videos has been everything that I needed just to know that my experiences were valid. And I'm very grateful that I have the space to be able to do this. I don't even have millions of followers, and I don't think I even need it. The fact that just a couple of you sometimes will message me and tell me that to a complete stranger that you don't know on the internet is one of those things that reminds me why social media can be great at times, and that we are all very much human, and we've just forgotten along the way in that chase to being, I don't know, the 30 under 30, the young, hot, rich, whatever, insert blank title here. In that chase, we often forget that we're people first and foremost, and that we are emotional creatures, and every single decision in this life that is made is in some way based on emotion and based on our past and based on our upbringing, and every single thing that we see is a result of that journey, that life journey. Somebody created something because it brought up something in their emotion that drew them to make that decision to create something. Because if you look around you, every single thing that is created was created by a person who had a thought to do that. And prior to that thought, there is an emotion that probably got them there. When I think about these things, I just get very humbled and reminded life is very complicated, but it is also very simple. If we can tear everything back just to the bare bones of what we are, all we want is connection, and all we want is to feel loved. People act out of fear and all of their anxieties. It's because they just don't feel loved and wanted. And if you're able to give that to yourself, it's not that everything is going to get solved, because of course I want a partner and I want to feel loved and seen physically, mentally, spiritually in that way. But it is fascinating to understand the human mind in this way, and to look back at my own experiences sometimes as just a third party and see how my desire to be seen and my desire to connect to people has resulted in certain actions. I wanted to make this video because I was feeling a bit sensitive and a bit emotional, and I thought the best way to channel that would be to create a video and record this moment in life, so that 50-year-old version of me can look back and think, you're doing okay. And I just want to tell you that too. Everything that you are doing for yourself, be proud of yourself. You're enough. You are truly enough just as you are, without having to perform and make a bunch of money and be famous. Like, you don't need those things, because you as a human being, just as a soul, as a body with a heart and lungs and everything that you have, you deserve to be loved. And I think when we're finally able to get to that very core of who we are, we deserve that. All the other feelings of feeling left behind and feeling not enough and feeling like you're doing all this work and like it's not going anywhere, I think a lot of those will be relieved in some way. Not entirely, because it's definitely more nuanced than that. But when we are able to think that we don't need to perform anymore, then I think that's where joy comes in. And then when joy comes in, peace will come in. And I think that's all we can really strive for, or should be striving for. Anyways, I think that's enough yapping from me. I hope you enjoyed this and let me know what you guys are getting up to. I also love getting to know some of you. So please feel free to comment, say whatever you got to say. And yeah, I'm sure I will have another one of these yap sessions in the future. But I just wanted to share this side of myself with you. Okay, anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I'm recording this a little bit after. I just went on a date and I'm getting to this point of dating again where it's just getting really exhausting because when people are just perfectly fine and they're nice, it's hard to find things quote unquote wrong. And then sometimes in that moment, I just feel, am I just being extra picky? Am I being too picky? Am I just being mean? Am I not letting people in? And then it becomes a very internalized problem again. But then when I was with this person, it was just, he was very nice, but then there was nothing about the conversation that excited me. And I think now when I'm dating, all I'm looking for is someone that makes me excited to get to know them. And I'm not the person constantly asking questions, and that it also feels like this person wants to get to know me. If you guys don't know, I live stream on TikTok sometimes. And it's so interesting to me because when I first started doing TikTok and live streaming, it was the most awkward thing. I didn't understand why people live streamed. But then after a while of doing it and getting to know some of you, and I appreciate all of you who tune in and watch and engage with me and talk with me on it, it's just become this lovely little group of people that I feel like I'm getting to know. And I remember when I was in this live stream, I specifically felt so much more invigorated and energized after doing this live stream, after going on a very draining date. Like, instead of allowing this date to make me feel bad about myself, I've very much been able to turn all these moments that I used to maybe internalize and would sit in my sadness. And I know there's a bit of an unhealthy thing with it if I go too far, but currently it is still in a place where I find it very cathartic to be able to share in this way. And I've realized that's all I'm looking for in a relationship. And I think that's what anyone is looking for in a relationship, is to be able to share your passions in life and have the other person be excited about them as well. And when I'm on these live streams, even though I don't know everybody who's on them, I don't know you guys in person, you guys get excited for me when I share about these things, and I share about my visions for social media, and I share about my visions for creating this community. I've shared about this before, that creating content, yes, getting those numbers and getting that monetization and those brand deals, that's all great. But if you don't have an actual purpose to what you're doing, you will burn out. And I have had moments when I've just been so tired and I don't want to edit and I don't want to post more videos and I just want to take a break and just relax. I let myself relax for the day, and then I'll be like, wait, I find so much joy in helping people and having people understand that whatever they're going through, all the dark stuff, all the loneliness, that stuff is what makes you a person. It's what makes you human. And when you just hear that one other person is going through that, it immediately makes it feel less scary, because that means if that person can go through it and get on the other side, you can too. And I remember so many of my favorite creators are the ones who are very open about those things, and the ones who are just not afraid to show exactly who they are. And I know that mental health becomes a kind of a scary topic for some people because they don't want to get too far into it. And I understand that. And I also don't want to be the person who's constantly talking about it. But it is something that I feel very passionate about because it is something that affected me a lot in my life. And I think it stopped me from doing and living the life that I've always wanted to live. And now that I've come to this path of realizing my own abilities to allow myself to get there, and my own abilities to trust myself and believe that whatever dreams that I want to accomplish, I can, is very jarring. You can go from not even believing that you can do anything because you're so down on yourself to all of a sudden the whole world opens up to you. And I was saying this on my live stream a little bit, that sometimes I don't know what to dream for myself. And that's not to say in a depressing way at all. It's that I don't know this version of me yet. I feel the most confident that I've ever felt before, but I also don't know this version yet. And I don't know what I can accomplish. I don't know to what extent. And while there's a part of me that believes that it could be limitless, there's another part of me that's trying to keep me safe, that's trying to tell me, okay, don't dream too big because then you'll be disappointed. But don't dream too small, because then you're diminishing yourself. So there has been a fine balance with that, and I'm trying to work through that sometimes and trying to listen to my body and my mind and which one is the voice that I want to listen to. It's definitely not the one that's telling me to diminish myself and that I'm not good enough, because now I know that's not true. And as my baseline gets higher and higher of where my confidence is and where my self-esteem lies, I know that the world will just continue opening up. And that can be a very scary thought, or it can be something where I lean into. You can keep leaning into the unknown of, I have no clue where this is going. I have no clue where my life is leading, but I do trust my ability to be able to handle it and thrive in it and be successful at it, because I've been able to be successful at the things that I'm doing currently. And I say that's in conjunction with everything that I've been doing recently that has helped my mental health. When people told me this in the past, I would say, yeah, I know, I want to wake up earlier. I want to wake up at 5:30. It's not about waking up early. If your body needs more sleep, listen to it. Don't sleep to the point when you're like sleeping until 4 p.m. Then you know you're doing it unhealthily. There's a line, but then every single day I wake up at 6:30 on the dot. I wake up and do my morning routine, and that's just for me. I can't do that for anybody else. A lot of people are saying that, oh, I just can't wake up that early. I just can't. I understand it's hard, but even if you can't do a full hour and a half long morning routine, even if it's just like a tiny ritual, just like I drink water every single morning. And if that's the cup of water that starts your day and starts putting your mind in a headspace where I've begun my day and I can now start slowly chipping away at my dreams and like the things that I want to accomplish, I think that's where self-esteem and self-trust lies. It's truly within that discipline and within that consistency that you see yourself growing. And then all of a sudden you'll look back and realize, whoa, what happened in the last 6 months that I just feel like a completely different person, but at the same time, so much the same person. All the things that made me have not left me, but I know that I am reaching the part of me that just is choosing to make healthier choices for me. And all of that motivation is for me, and it isn't for anyone else. I'm not doing it so that I look better for other people. I'm not doing it so that I can prove to other people that I'm better. I don't run this much to prove to other people that I can do it. I wanted to prove that I could do it. Now I run because I know it makes me feel better. And it is scary sometimes because I look at the future. Would I have been able to predict what happened 6 months ago for this? No. Never would I have ever thought that I would hit like 20,000 on any platform or be consistently creating videos like this. And even though that might not be a huge marker of success to some people, it is for me because I didn't know what I could do prior to this. And that's what it means when you don't compare yourself to other people. Sure, if you put me in comparison to like a creator with 5 million followers, it seems like nothing. But for me, this is the biggest thing I've ever done for myself. And I can proudly say that and know that I am only doing this for me. And there is no one else that I'm doing it for. When you get to a point when you know you're doing it for yourself, that's when your self-esteem continues to grow. And you just know that because I put in so much work on this, it just becomes a new identity for you. There's been just a lot of stuff that I've learned. And I think that's what I'm here on this earth to do, is to see and learn about what it means to be human and share those learnings with people so that people feel less alone. I just genuinely think that's what I'm here on this earth to do. And now that I've uncovered it, I don't really know where it's going to take me, but I'm very excited to see what I can do and how many more people I can help. I know that sounds very abstract and not at all what success sounds like in a capitalist society. But for me, I think that's where my happy place is. And I'm just really grateful to all of you for listening, for encouraging me in the moments that I feel like I'm doubting myself. There's been a lot of great people that I've met on here, so I really appreciate your trust in me too as I try to navigate all this. And that is now truly all I wanted to say. But I appreciate you all for listening, tuning in if you did. And if you're still here, comment something. Oh my gosh, comment one thing about yourself that you've learned about yourself that you love and appreciate now that you maybe didn't before. I think that's a good question. All right, that's all I wanted to say. And I will see you next week. Have a good day.